Hello and welcome to another episode of the Space Update. We're live tonight. Coming up on today's show, we're talking NASA's new administrator, SLS Hot Fire test that happened the other week, and did Boca Chica fog just take out Starship SN11? Who knows? We're reviewing Starship's flight today and everything. All that and more coming up in the show. But first, I just want to say a big thank you to all our Patreon supporters out there and here at Total Space. Anthony Mann, Warhawk, Adrian, Angry Astronaut, Howard Walker, Sammy Oscuro, What About It, To the Future, Gareth Bagalari, Fromrick, Susie, and Marco. If you would like to support what we do, head over to patreon.com/total space, get early access to episodes, chat with special guests on Discord, and other exclusive content. That's patreon.com/total space. Now, without further ado, let's get this show started. And I'm your host, Ryan, and joining me today is...
I'm Mikko, the host of Deep Dive Fridays.
And I'm Joey Astrorodi, host of STEM Studies segment.
Thanks for joining us, guys. So without further ado, let's just kick it off with Starship. It's just a quick overview for those of you out there that may or may not know about Starship. Elon Musk's SpaceX latest rocket that will be capable of being fully reused, booster at second stage and everything. Starship SN11 just launched again another test vehicle yesterday, but hopefully it'll be capable of land on the moon, Mars, and a whole lot more. Not only that, it can return to Earth, land, fuel up, and launch again, essentially. Once operational, it will be the biggest and most powerful rocket in existence since, obviously, the big Saturn rockets and everything like that. Now, that's the theory, anyway. Now for the reality. Things didn't go quite to plan yesterday in the thick, dense fog. It was a bit of a risky one, I think, launching in that fog, because I think almost no one got any footage, barring I think NASA space flight got a bit of the wreckage falling out the sky after that flight termination and everything. But near perfect liftoff at the start. We saw a bit of a flash in the fog, and at first I thought, oh no, it's just done a quick light up, then it's gone out, but then it cut to the SpaceX feed with the engines and everything. Like, oh no, it has actually took off, kind of thing. But near perfect liftoff, though Elon pointed out that the engine 2 didn't reach maximum chamber pressure, hinting at some early problems during the launch with the second engine there. Although it looked reasonably well on the liftoff. But perfect flight up to apogee. Flips seemed reasonably well, but I believe at that point all the cameras started cutting out, and that's where the frustration started for everyone, I think, because we were everyone was completely in the dark, wondering what's going on, barring SpaceX with all that telemetry within reason, but whether the telemetry dropped out. But the theory is at the moment that the FTS, or the flight termination system, basically terminated the flight. And we've seen some pictures online recently of some of the guys on Twitter that do flyovers and everything. The top part is still intact, obviously pancaked on the ground, but the bottom half of the rocket completely annihilated, shredded everywhere. So looks like its flight termination system did destroy that one. But what were your guys' thoughts on SN11? Success or disaster?
That's a tough one. I mean, watching the video, it looked like some of the plumbing on one of the Raptors was getting a little bit hot. There was a little bit of flame inside the engine skirt in some places. I don't think we've really noticed it before. It was really interesting to see a shot from inside one of the fuel tanks, and so that was kind of cool. And RGV did a video today that came out, and there's like the top few ring sections and the nose cone in a pile, and then just Starship confetti everywhere all over the landing site. So I think it's a correct assessment to say flight termination system would make sense. I don't know if SpaceX or Elon have confirmed that or whatnot, but it definitely looks that way.
Yeah, no confirmation yet. and it really seemed like there was only one engine that lit up in the landing burn, and maybe because there was just the one engine, and maybe the Starship saw it's going to a wrong place, so the flight termination may have terminated the flight. I mean, the debris is in so wide field. I do think it was flight termination system, unless it blew up right there in the air with some engine problem or something like that. But
Yeah.
Anyway, we didn't see anything about the flight from the ground, but still, it was great to see some testing happening. And as Elon said, SN15 is pretty close to going to the pad already. And SN20 is the next big step in, you know,
I think SN20 will have the like the full heat shield on, because we've seen a lot of that being applied lately, haven't we?
yeah,
Like on
I think that
the wings and the
will
body.
be the orbital one.
Yeah. But there's still loads of development going on in the mid bay and the high bay, and like you said, Miko, the SN15 getting put together. I think earlier on today the lower flaps were getting fitted and everything, and it's been moved out to mid bay for the nose stacking and everything. So SM15's not too far away, but we might see a delay of a week or two because of the huge scale of the debris everywhere. Because whereas we previously seen Starship essentially just smashed down on the landing pad and everything, this one with the flight termination system potentially or something else, all the debris has gone essentially into the fields and everything. If you look at some of the pictures over on Twitter and elsewhere, you see bird's eye views of large chunks of the steel just landing on some of the equipment on the ground. It's even nearly took out some of the guys' cameras that are out there on tripods. Everyday astronaut's camera nearly got took out. I think a large piece landed right next to the container where Padre's camera is also. So he got had a close shave with losing his camera, which is his most expensive 4K camera, I think, which is quite a number of thousands of pounds. So luckily that didn't get wiped out by that. But
Yeah, I heard there was actually 4 $1,500 cameras and then a more expensive 6K camera.
yeah, but it's all part of the risk, isn't it? It's just
Yeah.
in a way all part of the fun. But hopefully they'll get everything ironed out. And with SN15, there's supposedly within reason 100 or more upgrades, Elon's saying. So although the design's not essentially changing on the outside, the internal workings of it are drastically changing. Hopefully major improvements to iron out all the niggly things that we're seeing or we're not seeing essentially with that.
Yeah, hardware and software.
Yeah, definitely. And we've also seen the BN1 booster pretty much fully stacked now and everything, barring maybe one or two additional items to go on there. But Elon said it's just a Pathfinder booster. It's not going to be used necessarily for anything. Maybe just purely just to work out how it all gets together, how the plumbing works and the electronics are going to work essentially. Whether they fuel it up from the bottom a bit like the Starship, I imagine they're probably going to do that to minimize any fixings on the actual body of the booster. But I would have liked to see them to do something with the BN1 booster, maybe just some basic pressure tests within reason. I know they've done a lot with Starship already, but I think it'd be great to just use that BN1 booster for something at least, rather than just scrapping it. I know it's probably not worth doing many tests, but why not? You're going to rip it to shreds anyway, kind of thing. But
Absolutely, yeah. And why not cut some pieces and sell in the SpaceX store? There would be quite a lot of SpaceX fans buying those.
It'd be sold out instantly. That
Yeah.
Turn it into like a hotel or a house that people could rent out in the village there.
definitely.
Yeah.
And we've also seen construction going on, because we've obviously seen the architecture plans for the expansion of the Boca Chica launch site, new launch stands and test stands and a new tank farm and everything. But they're starting construction on the actual service tower for the booster next to the orbital test stands and everything. So we'll very soon see the ginormous 100-foot tower, 100 foot, a bit higher than that, 100-meter high tower, more like.
Yeah.
Just a little 100-foot one next to it. Wouldn't make any sense, that would it? Getting me measurements wrong there, but a 100-meter tower getting constructed there. They're doing all the groundworks for that. So we'll see a lot of construction going on for all that and everything.
Yeah. Will
And
be busy.
yeah, but and Elon also stated that BN1 booster, that one, he's aiming to get that one done by end of April, which is essentially next month. So it gives you a sense of how quick the planet do the BN1 booster, and he said that one's going to potentially be orbital, which he stated June or July for that. So which is maybe doable, but whether there's problems with the Raptor engines themselves or something else, we'll have to see before all that goes on. But it'd be really interesting to see the boosters maybe have a bit more of an easier time, so they don't have to do that flip maneuver. But then again, they still have to do that relight, which they seem to be having a lot of trouble with lately. But hopefully we'll see a silly 70-meter high booster land, which is essentially the height of a Falcon 9 rocket. It's just absolutely insane, but the Falcon 9 is only a third of the width, so it's be like essentially a giant chimney taking off in the air and then landing, or a giant water tower, if you like. That'd be absolutely absolutely
Yeah.
insane to see. But only 2 Raptors on that first one, I think. But more on SpaceX, we've heard a little bit of news on the Inspiration 4. This is one of the um, civilian astronaut flights or privately funded flights, just to essentially do, by the sounds of it, just do a few orbits around it, go up into orbit, a few orbits around Earth, and in the Dragon module and everything. But the only difference for this is where the adapter would be to connect to the International Space Station or anything else. They're going to put a glass dome on the top and everything. That'll be on the screen there for you guys to see and everything. But bit of an unusual one, to spend a lot of money just to do a few orbits around Earth and everything, just on the Dragon module. But if you got the money, why not? What do you guys make of that?
I mean, I would definitely go if I had some extra money or someone would pay it. And I think I remember the numbers from yesterday. It will be around 3-day trip, and apogee, or the highest point in orbit, will be around 540 kilometers. So it will be
Yeah,
a bit higher than ISS. So basically, it will be the highest where humans have gone since the Hubble repair mission.
yeah, and it's set to launch later this year with it's the billionaire Jared Isaacman, who chartered the flight with SpaceX, commanding the crew. Will include a unique dome window and everything, allowing the crew to essentially see 360 degrees with the Earth and surroundings and everything. To do that, it's just unbelievable opportunity, and if you've got that money, it's just why not kind of thing. But Isaacman emphasised that he wants to make the mission inclusive as possible, with the dome and part of that vision on the front of the Dragon module. Other Inspiration 4 crew members include Chris Simbrowski, Sean Proctor, Dr. Sean Proctor anyway, who won their seats as part of these separate contests and everything for that. And also announced along with Haley, oh God, trying to say that name, Miko.
Arsenal.
There we go.
I mean,
I could,
maybe. I'm not sure.
yeah, Haley. Anyway, I'll just say Haley. We'll go with Haley. It was selected earlier as an ambassador for the St. Jude's Children Research Hospital. So quite a different launch. Not necessarily astronauts, thoroughbreds going up there and everything, but absolutely fantastic, and just gives you a hint of more opportunities for space tourism, because we've obviously seen the likes of Virgin Galactic's new vehicle. That's got Spaceship 3, but just to give you an idea of what that brand new Spaceship 3 looks like, take a look at Spaceship 2. Essentially the same design, but probably about 2% bigger and a bit more shiny, essentially. I watched a live video of that yesterday, but a little bit underwhelmed with it, but it is what it is. It looks like an improved design around the where the engine is in the center and everything, but maybe made out of steel, essentially a little bit like Starship and everything. But we're going to see an awful lot more of these privately funded vehicles and space tourism vehicles from the likes of Blue Origin, Virgin Galactic, and everything. Really, it's just absolutely fantastic. And hopefully, we get another space nut to Mars. Is life end goal.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
it's really nice to see the cadence of the tourism missions picking up, and the price seems to be slowly trickling down and whatnot. So it's an exciting thing, you know. It's not going to take much longer before you're going to see crazy people selling their houses and going for a little rocket ride.
Which out of all of them, which one would you prefer to go on? Like the Blue Origin, Virgin Galactic, Dragon module, if it was even possible, or anything else?
You know, I'd if I had my choice of all the ones available now, I'd probably pick Orion because I like to stretch out, you know?
Bigger module.
Yeah. Size matters.
Yeah. I would go with SpaceX.
Yeah. Starship or
Not yet. But I did apply for the Dear Moon, so I would have boarded Starship too.
hopefully it's
Not
all
SN11.
well, you can build your own. Just go down there, pick up a few pieces, put it off, bit of
Yeah,
bit of glue.
Get some
That
duct
would
tape
work.
and super glue.
Off you go. I'd probably have to say Virgin Galactic's essentially a space plane, or Blue Origin. Essentially, although Blue Origins doesn't quite, I think it takes you up to the Kármán line or just above it. But I think they've yeah, just a little bit. I think it's been flight proven a lot. I'd like to see a lot more from the New Shepard and that module, because I think they could do an awful lot more with it, and it's been reused God knows how many times now. And I think they could essentially start flight tourism within the year, barring all the safety checks and sign-offs from the FAA and everyone else. So, but all this is going to take off within the space of 2 to 3 years easily, I think. But
Yeah.
I think I'll probably go with Virgin Galactic as my final answer on that one. And also announced just a week or so ago, we got a new administrator for NASA with the exit of Jim Bernstein. Change of president. NASA's new administrator has finally been named. Acting NASA administrator Steve Jurczyk. Something like that.
Jurczyk.
Yeah, look at have you here, mate, or correcting me. We'll just go with Steve at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, he released the following statement after the nomination by Joe Biden. Have Bill Nelson, previous senator and everything, serve as the 14th NASA administrator. He went on to say, "I'm pleased that President Biden has nominated former U.S. Senator Bill Nelson to lead our agency. Bill has proven to be proven history of supporting our work here at NASA has helped advance America's position in human exploration, science, aeronautics, and technology." Nelson represented Florida in the Senate from 2001 to 2019, where he served as ranking member of the Commerce, Science, and Transportation Committee. Previously represented Florida's 9th and 11th congressional districts in the U.S. House of Representatives. Bit of a mouthful there. While chair at the House Space Committee, Bill Nelson flew aboard the Space Shuttle, funny enough, Space Shuttle Columbia, as payload specialist on the STS-61C mission in 1986. He was appointed to the NASA Advisory Council by former administrator, funnily enough, Jim Berdestein, in May 2019. Funny enough, in 1986, when Bill Nelson flew aboard the Columbia, it was the shuttle mission, quite interestingly enough, just before the Challenge disaster. So it's quite an interesting fact for you there. So obviously, a lot gone on around the space shuttle program and everything. As brilliant as it was, it did come with its negative sides. It wasn't a perfect vehicle, but as amazing and inspiring as it was, personally, I think Bill Nelson, he'll be a great fit for the role at NASA. He'll do a great job in continuing to push the Artemis program, Gateway, the SLS rocket, and everything associated with the lunar mission and beyond, really. And the previous experience on the STS shuttle mission has got to be a bonus at the end of the day. What are your guys' thoughts on all that?
Definitely. When they first announced that, I was reading somewhere, and they may have just gotten it wrong or something, but I thought it was the mission right after Challenger. But if it was right before, that's a close call,
Yeah, I think the STX 61. It's a weird number, and I think it was. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but I think it was early January, and then the Challenger was back end of January. So it was literally 2 or 3 weeks changeover, essentially, something like that. And it was literally could have been on the next one, and it could have been a completely different story. Us sitting here and someone else being that administrator, but incredible that he's got that experience and background, and he's been physically been up there and everything, and he's been heavily involved in the SLS program, probably right from the start when he's been Senate and everything like that. So he'll hopefully get that over the line and pushed on, because we've seen lots of delays around the SLS program, and obviously we just recently had the hot fire test on that and everything. What are your thoughts on the new administration? Everything may go.
Well, it's interesting to see how the moon program will go. I don't think it's going to happen in 2024. I think there will be a delay of 2 to 4 years. And when Bridenstine always talked, he always said that he's the first NASA administrator who wasn't alive with the Apollo moon missions. So I think Nelson is now again someone who was alive when we landed on the moon. So, but I hope he has just as strong drive as Bridenstine had.
Yeah, definitely. Like I say, he'll bring all that experience on board, and hopefully he'll get the SLS pushed on and the lunar gateway and everything. Obviously SpaceX and Blue Origin and Lockheed Martin and literally every space company essentially involved with that. The European Space Agency is involved. JAXA is involved. I think Roscosmos is involved in some capacity and everything. It's an international effort to get this done, and an international effort to set various lunar bases up eventually. Once we've been there, we're going to start get the lunar gateway set up, and then build on that. Because obviously this time, the quote, we're going to the moon to stay this time, and everything. But it'd be great because we'll have the lunar missions, and they're going to use it as essentially as an outpost eventually in 5-10 years time, however long that may be, and everything. Once all that's set up on the moon, build on that, and then go to Mars. And the idea is once the gateway is set up and everything's up there, the lunar bases and everything, and then go to Mars, rather than dredging everything back all the way back to Earth, they can just drop it off the gateway, and then the landing modules can just come straight back to Earth safely without the samples and everything, and all the science can just be done on the gateway. A little bit like we see on the International Space Station, all the science can just be done there, up there on the gateway, in the laboratories in a safe environment, and they don't have to worry about it bringing it all the way back to Earth within reason, unless they really have to. And like we just mentioned there with the SLS rocket and everything, we did see the Hot Fire test take part on the 18th of March, just a week or so ago. A good full-length test on this one this time, a good 8 minutes rather than 2. So not underwhelming this time, full duration. But there was a bit of a little bit of fire going on behind one of the engines and everything like that. But NASA and Boeing and everyone pointing to it was a good test and good full burn and everything on that historic B2 test stand and everything. The hot fire got underway at around, it was 4:40 p.m. local Eastern time and everything, with the 4 RS-25 engines all ignited fully and produced the 1.6 million pounds of thrust. Just absolutely incredible the amount of power that thing's got. And just coupled with those 2 side boosters, it's just going to be absolutely immense. I mean, we haven't seen a launch like that since obviously the last shuttle launch many years ago. So all the guys that are down there over in America are just going to be absolutely sick to death and jealous of you guys watching the SLS rocket take off when it does, whether it be next year or the year after. But it doesn't look too far off, because I believe they're just doing some final tests and shipping the booster off to be coupled with all the other stages and everything, I think.
Yeah, they really pushed that thing on the test stand. You know, you watch the engines gimbal around, and you know they were pushing them every which way, doing things that will never happen on a real launch, so that they could just know exactly what the limits of the vehicle are. So I'm glad they got a full test out of it. That's really it's really kind of important when you're launching something that big and heavy, you know.
Yeah, I think the quirky thing was when you saw the engines just like twizzle around and everything like that. And I've just knocked my mic.
Yeah, you gotta test the thrust vector control systems. And the small fire we saw, I think the Boeing or NASA representatives did say a few days after that the temperature around the engines never went up, never went over around 100 degrees Celsius. So everything was safe, and I think it's some kind of wood that was burning.
Yeah, because they've got all sorts behind there, different materials and everything, and it only takes a little bit of excess gas to just ignite. We've seen it on Starship and various other things. It only takes a little bit of excess gas to create a bit of fire and everything. So good test for NASA's SLS rocket, and finally seen it move on for the, fingers crossed, the first successful launch. But just to put it into perspective, that rocket consumed in excess of 700,000 gallons of liquid oxygen and liquid hydrogen propellant. Just to put it in perspective, I just can't. That's just a monumental amount of liquid and propellant. And but you've got to remember, this is essentially a billion dollar rocket per launch. So I suppose that's 700,000 gallons of liquid takes up a little pinch of that cost, I suppose. But overall, it looked like a very good successful test, and hopefully can just crack on with that. Obviously, we've got various other missions going to the moon later in the year. We've obviously got ULA's Vulcan rocket, hopefully launching, as Tori Bruno mentioned, hopefully November, December, launching.
Yeah, and he did post a tweet and a picture about the Vulcan rocket on the pad.
Yeah. The Pathfinder is up there on the test stand, going through its paces and everything. Obviously, they've got the B4 engines there, testing all those out on the Pathfinder and everything else. But again, another monumental amount of rockets. It's essentially like the year of the giant rockets, the year of the giants, if you like. But just it's just hard to grasp, because there's a lot going on. You've got Blue Origin's rockets, although we see very little of the New Glenn rocket. Again, it's going to be a monumental rocket to just witness and see that one land. Whether it will or not in the first flight, I don't know. But it's going to be absolutely incredible in the years and months to come for Starship, ULA reusing parts of their rockets and just all sorts. Really been absolutely incredible. But and obviously Rocket Lab coming onto the park and doing their own reusable rocket, which is considerably larger as well. But
Yeah, everything's getting supersized.
Yeah, supersized. Which one are you looking forward to most in whether it's this year or next year? Vulcan, Rocket Lab's new rocket, Starship. Like if you had to put them in order, what's your favorite?
I'm really looking forward to Neutron. I'm also looking forward to some of these other newer providers that are getting ready to start their their test cadence and get going in the industry. It's really gonna. We live in a very interesting time when it comes to rocketry. There's so much going on all over the place. Um, you know, there's so much going on that I don't even know about. There's no way I could even make a list. But I mean, of course, I'm excited for Starship because that thing's just a behemoth, and the New Glenn is just a beautiful looking rocket. I hope that gets moving a little bit faster, and SLS is big, and there's some smaller ones coming too down the pipe, and it's Rocket Lab really pointed out, hey, we don't have to go the biggest, the baddest, the best. We can do like surgical launches. You just need this tiny little thing to get there. All right, well, let's do it. And
Yeah, it's
so
their Electron rocket. They're going to be launching bits to the moon and bits to Venus with that little rocket. But then they got obviously Neutron coming on to do the even bigger stuff like the Constellation and stuff and everything. It's going to be absolutely amazing. I'm quite excited about a lot of the smaller rockets and everything. The likes of the stuff here in the UK, Sky Aurora, Orbex, and everything. And even the European Space Agency, they've got some things in the pipeline with they've got the Vega rocket and everything, but they've also got their Themis rocket, I believe it's called. It's their reusable system. They're currently putting through the paces. They've been a bit quiet about it, but the European Space Agency are doing a Falcon 9 style reusable rocket, and again, it is going to be the Methalox style of whereas Falcon 9's using RP1 and LOX, it's going to be a Methalox style rocket, so it'll be quite interesting to see. But the only difference with the European Space Agency is it's going to be 2025 or 2030, so a little bit down the line for them, but they're getting there. Everyone's slowly getting there. It's fantastic to see, and I'm going to be speaking to a few guys in the coming weeks or so from the actual space industry. So if any of you guys out there want to speak or ask any questions to the space industry experts that we're going to be bringing on the show, ping your questions over to us on Twitter or here on Discord if you're a Patreon member. And like we said earlier at the beginning of the show, if you are on Patreon and everything, you can literally come on here on Discord and ask the space industry experts your questions to them here on Discord via Patreon and everything. So make sure you sign up for that and everything. But even on Twitter, just ask your questions and we'll put them to it. But we can't reveal who it is yet or anything like that, but coming soon. But is there any other questions up there on YouTube or anything, Miko, before we wrap it all up?
I don't see any questions, but there's been something happening on Mars. For example, there was Hope Probe got another picture from there. We probably don't have it in B-roll, but then
a little helicopter about to go.
Yeah, we may see a flight soon.
Yeah, I've got to the little Ingenuity helicopter finally being released for the underneath Perseverance. Thank you for reminding me, Miko. Nearly forgot about that one. But the little Ingenuity helicopter underneath Perseverance has finally been detached. The little legs, everything deployed. It's literally a few inches away from the Mars soil and everything. So in the coming day or so, we'll see it released from Perseverance. Perseverance will probably just back up, get the cameras ready and everything, and just hopefully roll. Hopefully there's not too much wind going on Mars at the moment and everything. And then we'll see the, fingers crossed, the flight with the Ingenuity helicopter. But interestingly enough, with the lack of atmosphere and gravity and everything on there, the blades on that helicopter are going to spin 2 or 3 times faster than it would on Earth, because essentially the atmosphere's not as dense as it is on Mars, so those blades have got less to cup or grab onto, so you just got to work 3 times harder to even get off the Martian ground. Although the lack of gravity is an additional plus, but as a negative, you've got the lack of atmosphere to get the aerodynamics essentially off the ground. But so it'll be an interesting one. It's only a demo flight, so it's only going to last a minute or so if they're lucky. And it does have a tiny solar power thing on top there, so it might be able to recharge, but barring if it lands okay. So it might be able to use it once or twice, and it is a demo one. So if that's successful, we could potentially see other helicopters style rovers on Mars, or even large drones, essentially, or planes of sorts. Who knows? It'd be absolutely insane to see. So rather than little Perseverance rovers trundling along on the surface, getting ripped to shreds by sharp rocks and everything, you could just have a quadcopter or something like that, just blitzing all over the place. We'll go to the South Pole, we'll go to the North Pole, we'll go over here, we'll go over there, we'll pick up that rock and smash it off the floor, see what's inside it and stuff like that. So just opportunities will be endless once we gain aerial flight, essentially controllable aerial flight on Mars, which would be, I think, insane to see, to be honest. And also, quite interestingly, hidden on that little Ingenuity rover, there's a little piece of the Wright brothers plane on there, a little piece of fabric from that. So just a little nod to the first ever flight of a plane, essentially, on Earth, is just tucked away in the Ingenuity helicopter. Just a little nod to them once that takes flight on Mars. So I think it's a nice little touch. Lots of little nuggets of and Easter eggs hidden away on Perseverance and Ingenuity, I think, which is a really nice touch.
Yeah, the space industry really loves those Easter eggs. I didn't know about the piece of cloth. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Absolutely incredible. But can't wait to see that fly and everything else. But like I said, with that, the upcoming interviews and everything like that, send us your questions, whether it's for our show or whether it's for our deep dive and everything, or whether it's for Joy for his new show. Do you want to tell everyone what you got planned, Joy?
I'm my intro video's just about done editing. Hopefully get that out in the next day or so. And then I've got a video on perchlorates that hopefully we'll be filming within a week here, and then I've got some other things coming down the pipe. You know, just doing a ton of research. I want to make sure I get my facts close enough. You know, I don't want to be telling anybody the Earth is flat. So I got to do a little bit of research and things. So I'm real excited about it. It's been a lot of fun. You know, the team here's been real supportive and encouraging, and it's going to be interesting. So you know, use the buttons below if you want to see when that comes out. So.
Yeah, can't wait for that video to come out. And you've just had a video come out, Miko, haven't you, on Buran?
Yeah, it was with Edel, Static Fire Gal. We did about a 7-minute video about Buran and what it could have been. So go check that out on our channel.
Yeah, and also on Becoming Multiplanetary, you've got a rover series going on at the moment, covering everything from the first wheeled rover on Mars, from Perseverance, Curiosity, the Ingenuity rovers, I believe, and everything else.
The Spirit, Opportunity, and the last one was Sojourner.
Yeah.
And Becoming Multiplanetary will be doing a collaboration with Sebastian and Jisuan from To the Future next.
Yeah, so
multi-part series.
Yeah, so stay tuned for that. A little bit of a different take on that one with To the Future, but it's going to be absolutely fantastic once we get that. So lots to
That'll
come.
be fun.
Yeah, new shows, new interviews, new collaborations, and all sorts going on. So it's going to be a good few weeks, a few months ahead. So lots to come. So stay tuned. It's here at Total Space Network. Thanks for joining us this week's episode, guys. I've been Ryan at the Space Update.
I've been Nico, the host of Deep Dive Fridays.
I'm Astro Rody, host of STEM Study Segment.
And since you're here, Joey, where can people find you?
At Astro Rody on Twitter, probably be the easiest way to get a hold of me. Or if you want to become a Patreon member, you can chat with me in our Discord.
Yeah, definitely. And as always, you can listen to the show on the road over on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. You can also listen to the podcast over on the totalspace.net. That's our website. And up on there, there's links to merch, watch the shows up on there and everything. Get some Miko fan club merch, Total Space Network merch, and everything up there. And as always, you can follow us on Twitter at TotalSpaceNet. And as always, right here on YouTube, like, subscribe, and hit that bell button for all the latest notifications. And there's a perfect example of some fantastic merch right there. Miko's Deep Dive Miko fan club shirt there. So head over to the website if you want one of those. Thanks for joining us, guys. And thank you, Miko and Joey, for joining me today and everything. And as always,